Sorry guys, I've been out of it for a few days. I had a strange dream the other day where these weird dudes picked me up, lifted me in the air, strapped me to a table, and then used a very large needle and shoved it right up. It was just a weird dream. Hi everybody, my name's King Noosme. Are You Afraid of the Dark is one of the most iconic horror shows of all time. Even though it hasn't been on TV since the early 2000s, it's still got a very loyal audience. And it lasted from 1992 all the way to 2000s with 7 seasons and 92 episodes in total. With all those episodes, there is destined to be a couple that overlap in some way. Whether it's certain monsters like vampires, ghosts, clowns, shapeshifters, and like today's episode, aliens. The show follows a group of kids that call themselves the Midnight Society. They take turns telling each other scary stories around a campfire, and we watch the stories that they tell. Throughout the years, the kids would get rotated out to keep things fresh and new. They even revived the show in 2019 to some pretty high praise, and that show now has 3 seasons, but there is no news about a 4th season just yet. Hopefully I could talk about the revival season soon. That'd be kind of fun. Aliens show up more often than you'd think in Are You Afraid of the Dark? The show has 4 episodes that involve aliens, which is more than I expected, actually. And they're all different aliens, but terrifying in their own ways. And those episodes are The Tale of the 13th Floor, The Tale of the Hatching, The Tale of the Unexpected Visitor, and The Tale of the Lunar Locusts. Today we're going to look into and break down each episode to find out which episode is the best out of them, and if Are You Afraid of the Dark can do sci-fi horror well. So let's quit yapping and get into the video. We jump over to season 2 for the 4th episode, The Tale of the 13th Floor. One of the most stylized and colorful episodes of the series for sure. And it's Are You Afraid of the Dark's first attempt at an alien-based episode. It's directed by Michael Kush, who only would come back to direct one more episode, The Tale of Quicksilver. And it was written by Ann Appleton and show creator DJ McHale. Ann wrote a couple of episodes in season 1, but this episode was sadly her last script ever. She literally has just these 3 episodes on her IMDb. I hope she didn't pass away or anything. That would be very depressing. I probably should have looked that up. This episode has been recommended to me a couple of times, with a couple of the comments saying it's one of the best twists in an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. And that makes me excited to check it out. So let's quit yapping and get into it. We start this episode with the Midnight Society, of course, as they're being hunted down by an unknown figure in the woods. But nothing gets past Frank because his spidey senses start tingling.
You ever get the feeling you're being watched?
The figure shines the group with a bright light, and it turns out that it's not just one, but 3 of them. And it's totally not their friends Betty Ann, David, and Kristen. They do look spookier than normal, though. Kristen asks the others, "You see us every week, but do you really know us? Do you actually know anyone?"
Are we having a story tonight, or are we just playing games?
Well, damn, Gary, way to ruin the fun. Betty Ann is taking the helm for this story, and she starts her story by saying, "You see them every day, but you never take time to look. But if you did,
you might find that the scariest strangers are the ones inside ourselves."
Now, throw the polytoxic chemicals into the fire, and let's begin. We start the story in an abandoned-looking room that we learned is the 13th floor of a building and the playroom for our main characters, Karen and Billy. Karen is played by Trish Lindstrom, and she sadly isn't in anything of note, but Billy is played by Aaron Ashmore, who's in another episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, which we will be talking about here real soon. Just be patient with me. But he's still pretty famous, but sadly he's not as famous as his brother Sean Ashmore, who is Iceman in the X-Men movies, and also Jake in the Animorphs show. Although Aaron would sometimes double for him in the Animorphs show, so technically he's there as well. Luckily for the kids, the kind doorman Gus lets the kids up to the 13th floor to hang out and play. But he does warn them to be careful because the last tenants mysteriously disappeared up there. Although he does let them play up there, he really doesn't like them being on the 13th floor.
Makes me uneasy.
The kids brush off Gus as being old and superstitious and immediately start playing floor hockey, which Billy is very good at, but Karen, not so much.
Slap shot.
Oh, that's painful to watch. Okay. Karen isn't very athletic. Not in the slightest. Karen thinks that she's not as athletic as her brother because she's actually adopted. And if she were related to him by blood, then maybe she'd have an ounce of athleticism in her. But Billy tells her that she can't keep using her being an adopted as an excuse for when something is difficult for her to grasp.
Why not? It's very convenient.
Suddenly, strange lights start shining through the windows of the 13th floor, and the whole building begins to shake uncontrollably. And Billy makes a quick and smart decision and decides to get the heck out of Dodge. I don't think you should be taking the elevator during an earthquake, though. Actually, I think that's the last place you want to be. Luckily, the weird shaking stops just in time for the elevator to get there, and we meet... Oh God, what happened to bro's hair? Bro got in the barber shop and said, yo, give me the space mullet with a side of Lord Farquaad. What is he thinking? The mysterious dude in the elevator is Lenoid, and he's taking over for Gus because he had a family emergency. Okay, yeah, sure. But Billy doesn't mess with strangers, so he decides that him and his sister should take the stairs. Oh, so now you take the stairs. Yeah, no, not when the earth is shaking beneath you. Okay. Question the decisions of kids sometimes. That night while she's asleep, Karen's TV mysteriously turns on its own, and it gives Karen a message. A man appears on the TV and tells her that he's come to visit her, and then just disappears back into the void. That was weird. The next day, the kids head up to the 13th floor to play, but the new elevator guy informs them that there are new tenants that are going to live there, and they're going to be fumigating the floor before they remodel it. And later that day, they are coming back home from riding bikes and hanging out with their friends, and they check the mail to see that Karen has a letter. It's an invitation from a toy company that is now on the 13th floor of the building. They want her to come test some toys and sports equipment for them, and she can come anytime the next day. But since Karen really isn't good at sports, she decides that she doesn't want to go. Luckily for her, Billy is a good brother and actually convinces her to go just in case she has some fun, and they give away some free stuff. That night, Karen gets yet another visit from the TV man. She tries to turn the TV off multiple times, but she can't seem to do it. The man tells her that he would love to see her tomorrow to test some toys because she's a very special person, and he basically begs her to come.
Say you'll come.
Okay, yeah.
Oh wow, that was really easy. He really didn't have to beg at all. So the next day, she does exactly that, but only if her brother Billy gets to come along, which he agrees to easily because, well, of course, who wouldn't want to just play with toys all day? I would. They make it to the newly refurbished 13th floor, and it looks insane. It is very colorful and vibrant with toys littered everywhere and a mobile dice block. Okay then. They're greeted by a woman named Olga. She greets Karen alone and tries to nicely kick Billy out.
Nice of you to bring Karen here, Billy. We won't be needing you.
That's insane. That's absolutely crazy. Oh, nice to meet ya. Okay, I'll see ya. Like, what the hell? Olga is played by Susan Glover, and she was actually in the episode The Tale of Train Magic. Karen tells Olga that she is not going to be doing the tests if her brother Billy can't come with. And if he has to leave, so will she. Wow, what great siblings. Why couldn't you be this nice, Sam? Doesn't seem that hard. Since Olga's hands seem to be tied, she allows Billy to join his sister for the day, and she guides them into the next room that is full of toys and this strange table with some buttons on it. This is where we meet Raymond, but you might recognize him as the man on the TV. Raymond is played by Pierre LeBlanc, and he's also in the episode The Tale of the Unexpected Visitor, which is what we're going to be talking about here in like 10, maybe 15 minutes, I don't know. Raymond doesn't seem pleased with Billy joining in for the test, but he reluctantly lets him in anyways. He brings the kids over to the table and gives them their first tests. They're going to play a sequence of notes, and the kids just have to copy it. Very simple, honestly. But it's a race to see who is better coordinated and will help them in their toy making process. And with wasting no time, they get to business. Obviously, Billy beats Karen the first couple of times with ease, but as they crank up the difficulty, Karen starts winning with ease. And then again. And since it seems like Karen has gotten the hang of the test, so they move Karen on to the next test and they leave Billy on the note table to try and hopefully catch up. Next we cut to Lenoid, and he asks Olga if Karen will be ready for something we don't know about. And Olga assures him that Karen will be ready before they have to leave at 6 o'clock tonight. The next test involves Karen being strapped down to a chair, and all she has to do is move this ball with her mind. Bro, you really think after one Simon Says light game, she'll be able to suddenly move things with... Oh my god, she's moving it with her mind. I can't believe she actually did that. I'm gonna play Simon Says. Shit. Hold on, this thing has Flappy Bird? Oh shit, it has Flappy Bird. What the fuck? What kind of Flappy Bird is that? Oh, I'm gonna try it. You're getting so sidetracked. Oh god. How am I? Oh god, I suck. Hold on. Okay, that is literally impossible. She can even shoot it in a basketball hoop. Talk about dunking on Billy. Oh man, Billy doesn't look too good. After she successfully moves the ball with her mind, Raymond informs her that she's able to now take a little trip with them into space. And every time they turn this dial, it gets closer to simulating the atmospheric pressure of a place he calls home. Sadly, Billy won't be able to join them on the spaceship because he simply just can't handle the intense pressure on his body. And since she now knows the truth, Raymond decides to show her his true form.
Ah, that's better.
And since she's ready for space travel and already strapped down to a chair, Raymond opens a hatch in the roof of the building to reveal multiple faceless aliens reaching for her, lifting her chair up to take her with them. She's helpless and can't do anything, and Billy can't help because, well, he's passed out on the table. But luckily, Karen is pretty smart, and she uses her newly acquired powers to turn off the machines, shut the hatch, unlock herself from the chair, and she can also freeze Raymond in place? They didn't mention how she could do that. Okay, upon further inspection, she just kicks Raymond in the face and he just freezes in place like this. Not sure why. Maybe it's a defense technique. Anyway, she thanks Raymond for her new powers and she tries to help Billy, but he simply can't bear the pressure and is knocked out cold. But she promises she'll be back to save him, and then she goes and hides in the vents. Just in time, because Olga comes in to unfreeze Raymond and in a panic tells Raymond to start looking for Karen because they must leave soon. But before she leaves, she must inform us how much she actually hates human children.
Such poor specimens, these Earth children.
That's a little evil of her, no? Sadly for Karen, I think Raymond can see through walls because he finds her immediately. He corners her in a maze of colorful yet disorienting walls, but Raymond seems to have forgotten that Karen is pretty resourceful, and she drops these sharp roof things on top of him and makes her escape.
All that fuss, just to end up back here.
Karen quickly grabs this remote and freezes Raymond in place once again, and she turns the dial down so it makes it easier for her to wake up Billy, but once again Olga comes in at the worst time and finds Raymond frozen in place. Luckily for Karen, she has a remote that controls Raymond and she can, never mind. Raymond is actually a robot. Suddenly it makes sense why he freezes when he got kicked in the head. Karen tries to make an escape using the elevator, but of course she is greeted by Lenoid. She tries to use the remote to make him freeze, but this guy is 100% organic material. He tries to reason with Karen and tells her that this is her destiny, that she needs to expand her horizons and go back to her home planet. And Lenoid is a persuasive guy, and she reluctantly agrees to go home with him. That is until she sees his alien hands, which kind of wakes her up and makes her realize that she needs to save her brother Billy and that Earth is her actual home. She was raised here and she knows nothing else. Karen runs down the halls, banging on all the doors and asking anybody for help, but when nobody comes out to help, she takes matters into her own hands. She finds a verbal command option on the remote and knows exactly what to do with it. She heads back to the floor knowing that Raymond would find her there. She quickly grabs Billy and then uses the voice command to make Raymond hold Olga so they can make their escape, which he happily does, and I mean very happily does. I think he was just waiting on his chance to make a move. Although I don't think this is the move you want to make. She almost makes it out successfully, but Lenoid stops her for one last Hail Mary attempt to get her on the ship. He tells her all these amazing things that she can do if she just came along with them. She would be able to fly, to go to other planets, and the planet itself is beautiful. But Karen isn't willing to risk her brother's life just to go to a planet because it's her so-called home. And Lenoid doesn't stop her from leaving, but he does tell her that she's making a grave mistake. Then we cut back to the siblings who are finally back in their room as the spaceship takes off. And before they're out of orbit, Olga appears on the TV to tell Karen what is really going on. They accidentally left her on Earth 10 years earlier, and they were going to try and get her into the spaceship and into space before they explained anything to her. But they don't have enough atmosphere to stay on Earth any longer, and it'll be another 10 years before they can return for her again. Billy is having a hard time understanding what's going on, and what he sees next doesn't help him at all.
See you in 10 years.
And that's where the story ends, but we fade back into the Midnight Society where Betty Ann finishes her story by saying, "You think you may know someone,
But think again and look a little closer."
And they close out the meeting and end the episode. Honestly, it's a really great episode. It's got its wackier moments in it for sure. And like I said earlier, it is super stylized. It kind of looks like a futuristic Fisher-Price factory to me. And I do think the aliens in this episode look really good. I know I'm going to get like a million comments saying, the aliens look like Slender Man's cousin or something like that. And I agree with you, they do. But at least they went for a unique alien design and not the typical big-eyed green aliens that you see literally everywhere. I also think the reveal at the end of the episode was amazing. Of course, we already know that Karen is an alien, so we would figure that she would look like her alien brethren, but seeing our protagonist with the horrifying emotionless face is just so unnerving, and honestly, it sticks with you for a long time. I also love that the episode takes place on the 13th floor. If you don't know, 13 is considered an unlucky number because, well, the Bible. Judas was the 13th guest at the Last Supper, and we all know what happened with Judas and Jesus. And this has caused people to be weary of the number 13, so much that buildings often don't have a 13th floor just to not upset certain guests. But like, even if you label it the 14th floor, you're still on the 13th floor, so I've never really understood why they do that. But sometimes buildings even leave the 13th floor for the staff and utilities so no guests feel uncomfortable for staying on the floor. And yes, this is true. People are actually like this. And because of this belief, people claim that the 13th floor is often haunted or just weird things seem to happen on that floor. So the vibes around the eerie floor is a great place to set an episode about kids being abducted by aliens. While I do like this episode and the alien design, it's honestly a little forgettable in my opinion. It's got everything it needs to be an iconic episode. Cool monsters, a likable main character, somewhat interesting story, and a great twist ending. But there's something about it that doesn't let it stick around like Dead Man's Float or The Ghastly Grinner. Maybe it's like the atmosphere of the episode. I mean, the rooms are quite colorful and bright, which can be scary if done right, but it looks like they just missed the mark somewhere in there. I don't know. Let me know what you think about this episode in the comments below. And before we move on, I forgot to mention that Johnny Keyworth, the guy who played Gus, he's also in another episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Tale of the Nightly Neighbors as Mr. Mitchell. Okay, let's move on to... Just a couple of episodes after the 13th floor in season 2, we get The Tale of the Hatching. It's the 12th episode of the second season and was written and directed by the creator of the show, DJ McHale. So you know it's gonna be a banger. He wrote this episode because he saw an old water purification plant and he thought that it looked interesting and creepy, so obviously he wrote an episode for it and then filmed it there. That's absolutely crazy. I wish I could do something like that. You know how many abandoned buildings and stuff I see, and I'm like, it would be awesome if they put a horror movie in that building. I guess it could. I could just get like access to the building and then a crew and then money. But this episode is pretty well liked because of the super eerie atmosphere, the creepy visuals, and the creature effects. But I'll be the judge of whether this episode is good or not, so let's quit yapping and get into it. We start this episode with our group of scary storytelling fiends as Dave lights the fire for them, which is apparently not usual because everyone starts questioning why he is doing this. Everyone but Kristen, who asks him if he's okay rather than pick on him.
What's the matter? Poor Dave, you upset about something?
Man, Frank is the worst. Why is he so mean? Kristen tells everybody that he had to move to a new town and he's starting to go to a new school, and he seems to be having a hard time with the move. It really sucks for him, but at least he thought up a pretty good story because of it. And then he pretty much explains what the story is about, which is what I'm about to do as well. So throw the polytoxic chemicals into the fire and let's begin. We start this story by seeing a cute little poodle. Aw, I hope nothing comes out of the sewer and like eats it or something. Oh, come on! Next, we meet our main characters, Augie and Jazz, and their parents. Their parents are going on a long business trip, so they enrolled them in the Black Book School, which is supposedly one of the best boarding schools in the area. Even though the school looks incredible, the kids aren't too excited about having to go there. And Jazz is confused on why they can't just go with their parents. But of course, their parents want their kids to have a good education and...
It's a very well-known, highly respected...
Well, that's not promising. It's all good. It was just this girl who is sick and having a fever nightmare.
In the day?
Yeah, you can have nightmares during the day. You can have them at any time, you know. I've had them during the day before. Luckily, the principals, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor, also heard her scream and quickly guide the girl Marie to the infirmary. This also gives the Taylors time to introduce themselves to their new students and to get started on their orientation. But before that, let's talk about the actors in this episode real quick. Liz McRae, who plays their mom, Miss Wilson, in this episode, is also in the episodes The Tale of the Fire Ghost and The Tale of Bigfoot Ridge. Mr. Taylor's actor, Philip Spinsley, is actually in the 3-part revival episode The Tale of the Silver Sight as Vince. And Jazz is played by Heather Brown, and she was in a Goosebumps episode. She was Lizzie in One Day at Horrorland. And the actor who plays Augie, Ilya Woloshin, he was in an episode of Friday the 13th, the series. He was also in a pretty insane show called The Odyssey, where a boy gets in an accident, falls into a coma, and then starts having some rather interesting dreams. Pretty crazy show, you should check it out. While they're getting acquainted, they hear a strange noise coming from the intercom.
To the learning process.
What's with the buzzing?
Mr. Taylor tells them that it's pretty much their school bell, but it's a soother tone than a regular school bell, and it plays different tones for when they wake up, when class is beginning and ending, and for lunch. Wow, what a fancy fucking school. My school's fire alarm was broken, and it went off 7 times in 1 week. I'm not joking either. It was pretty funny the first couple of times it happened, but it got old really, really quick. As Mr. Taylor is talking, Augie's watch starts to beep, which makes Mr. Taylor absolutely freak out, like screaming and cowering in a corner. It wasn't even that bad. Or loud.
Forgive me, I've been having migraines.
Oh yeah, because every time I get a migraine, I just have to, oh, got it! All hurts. Wah! Next, we fade later in the day, and the siblings are walking down the hallway and having a little chat. Jazz finds it weird how Mr. Taylor absolutely freaked out at his watch, but Augie tries to give the man the benefit of the doubt and says that it was probably just a headache.
Headache. I thought his brain was gonna explode.
Right? It's weird. He acted like Professor X blasted him with the Holocaust beam or something. But the real reason she's causing all this ruckus is because she really doesn't want to go to the school, and she's just looking for any excuse to get out. Thankfully, Augie is a good brother, and he tells her that they'll be okay. It's only for 6 months, and then they get to go back to their old school and be back home with their mom and dad.
Yeah, well, I'm not wearing one of those lame one uniforms. That's official.
How'd that work out for you? They say goodbye to their parents, and they are ready and excited for their new start.
I'm really depressed.
Okay, I might have exaggerated the excited part. But wait, their parents just left? Where were they in the last scene? Were they just wandering around the school for no reason? Why? Anyways, the bell chimes for all the students to go eat some dinner. While at the table, the kids are passing around this bowl full of white gelatinous muck. And when it gets to Jazz and Augie, they're of course weary of the dish. And they ask, what is it exactly?
Sponge.
Sponge?
Sponge.
Like SpongeBob?
No, sponge with a U.
Oh, sponge with a U. Of course, I got you now. Yes. No, I don't. What the hell is that? Is it a British cuisine? They love throwing U's in places they don't belong anyways. And it does kind of look like British food. The kid named Kit tries his best to get the two to try the sponge. He tells them that it's really good and they have to at least try it before they give it up. But of course they pass on the sponge, and I don't blame them. And just in time too, because the sleep bell rings and everybody rushes out of the lunchroom. Hey, stop that. At least use a spoon, man. By the way, their friend Kit, he is played by Justin Borntager, and he was also in the episode The Tale of the Quiet Librarian. Since everybody around them seems to be enjoying themselves, they decide to try and relax and give the place a chance, despite the pretty strange rules the school has. Like this poor kid Willie got his thing taken. What is that? I think it's a handheld game console, but it looks massive. Either Willie is tiny or that is the biggest Game Boy I've ever seen in my life. Either way, Mr. Taylor has another strange reaction to the noises coming from the Game Boy and takes it from poor Willie. And you don't really get a good look at his face, but Willie is played by Kenny Vadas. And he was Dwayne in the Goosebumps episode, The Headless Ghost. And later that night before going to bed, Augie was going to listen to some tunes. But luckily, Kit was there to warn him that music is strictly forbidden on school grounds. And if he wants to keep his music player, he's gonna have to keep it on the down low. And after a couple of weeks, they got acquainted with the rules and they start to actually fit into school a little bit. They still don't eat the sponge though. Probably for the best. But one night, in the middle of the night, the bell rings and every kid, without saying a word, gets out of bed, gets in a single file line, and starts marching down the halls. Jazz finds Augie in the hall and he is equally as confused as she is, but they decide to just simply follow them to see what is going on. They walk down into a creepy hallway lined with strange machines, and some students walk to the machines while the others climb down these ladders into a pool of water filled with these giant alien eggs. Oh god, there's gonna be an egg pun in here soon, isn't there? Oh no. Jazz tries to wake their friend Kit up from his trance, but nothing seems to work. So she climbs down to see all the kids pouring some kind of powder in the water over the eggs. And the two pick up one of the eggs to examine it, and that's when Mr. and Mrs. Taylor appear.
Excellent.
I knew it! I called it! I told you there was going to be an egg pun in here. To blend in, the two quickly grab some spoons and start pouring the powder over the eggs just like their brainwashed peers. Which works beautifully. The Taylors are none the wiser and actually reveal that the sponge is how they take over the kids' minds. So it was a good idea to not eat that shit. And since everything looks good to them, the Taylors leave the pool area with Jazz and Augie sneakily following them.
Let's just call the police, okay?
I think that's a great plan, Augie. But you're not gonna do it. They never call the police in these shows. They watch as the Taylors open a giant cabinet and feast on the powder. They talk about their master and how she is pleased and patiently waiting for all her eggs to hatch, which is going to be very, very soon. And then Mr. Taylor accidentally reveals part of his true form. Ew! I know to him it's like a glove, but it looks like he's scratching underneath his skin. Oh god, that's gross. And as he's grossing me out with his excessive scratching, Miss Taylor pours them both a glass of some Nickelodeon slime or something as they toast to their master, and they suck the viscous liquid down. The kids quickly run into a faraway room and try to make a plan so that they can escape. But Augie is too much of a weenie and doesn't want to do it. But we don't have time for him to be a big baby, and Jazz knows this, so she literally grabs him by the collar and tells him to get a grip.
Get a grip.
And her doing this actually gives Augie an idea. They split up to gather some essential things and then try to meet back up. Augie finishes first and knocks on her dorm door to tell her his plan, but Miss Taylor comes out holding Jazz hostage. Augie gets so scared he freezes up and he can't say anything but,
You're a monster.
well, yeah, no shit, dude. He was scratching underneath his skin. How? Luckily, Jazz is a bit of a delinquent and she bites Miss Taylor so hard that she lets go. Oh my God, how hard did she bite her? That's insane. Is the skin like rubber? If it's rubber, that's insane. They try to make an escape, but of course they are stopped by
You can't leave now.
Mr. Taylor, who chases them all the way down into the basement into some eerie tunnels, lined with kids' shoes. My guess is this isn't the first time somebody used this method for escaping, and it also didn't work out for them, so I don't know how good of a plan this is. And while they're walking down the tunnel, they hear a creepy growling coming from deep within the tunnel. And even worse, the Taylors have trapped them in with whatever's hiding in the tunnel. They tell the kids that their species nearly went extinct, and they've been incubating these eggs for over 100 years. And once all the eggs hatch, they can take over the world. And to add some evilness to them, they used child labor to help incubate the eggs. How awesome is that? And not only did they make kids work against their will,
Once the eggs are hatched, the children will serve another purpose.
yeah, they're going to eat the kids. This episode's insane. While the Taylors are yapping over here, the growling behind the kids gets louder and more earth rumbling until a glowing green light and smoke stalks them from behind. And it is revealed that they are trapped in with the mother alien. And she hasn't eaten in a long time. As the mother alien slowly crawls towards them, Augie decides to finally put his plan in motion. He hands Jazz a speaker and starts to hook up his radio that he's been hiding for months. The Taylors try so hard to break in and stop them, but they aren't quick enough. Augie blasts the music in the tunnel, making the Taylors and the mother aliens cry in agony until they explode. Man, these shows really love exploding their monsters. It's insane. Hey, the kids might be covered in gross green alien blood, but at least they're safe. And the Taylors won't be bothering anybody anymore. Luckily, Augie noticed that anytime they heard a high-frequency noise, they would kind of freak out. So he figured maybe the high-frequency noise was their weakness.
I may be a chicken, but I'm smart.
Heck yeah, you are, Augie. After the aliens explode, all the kids are awakened out of their trance-like state, and they discover that since the mother alien died, all the eggs have died as well. Well, maybe not all of the eggs. And we fade back into the Midnight Society where they end the meeting with Gary warning them to go straight home.
Because tonight's a school night.
Oh, Gary's got jokes now. Okay. And that's where the episode ends. What an absolutely insane episode, honestly. I've heard that this episode is really good, but I never really believed anyone because, like, come on, how scary can an episode about alien eggs be? No, I took that L. I'm gonna take this. I'll put it in my pocket. I'll hold on to it, actually. This episode is actually incredible. The storytelling is really good. I can't believe DJ McHale saw an abandoned water treatment facility and then cooked up this banger immediately. He's insane for that. But very rarely does he miss with his episodes. I mean, he directed one of my favorite episodes, so what can I say? This man just knows how to make a school scary. He's the GOAT at it. Speaking of that, I absolutely love how eerie this episode is throughout the whole runtime. Even before any of the creepy stuff really happens, things just feel off within the school. I mean, the building is almost castle-like and super old, which definitely helps the eerie factor. And the first thing that happens to them in the school is they find a girl screaming from a night terror or day terror, whatever you want to call it. Which, by the way, was probably her remembering the last time she was forced to feed the eggs. They kind of hint at it towards the end of the episode where she thinks she's having another nightmare, but she's actually just waking up from her trance.
This is like a dream. It is. And you're not gonna have nightmares anymore.
Also, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor feel off immediately to me, despite them trying to put on a nice face for the family. And even before the strange watch moment in the office, I did not trust the two of them. And it was genius for them to hint on how to defeat the aliens so early in the episode as well. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I really enjoyed this episode. The practical effects in it were also amazing. I mean, I honestly got grossed out both times they showed their true form to us. But I do have to gripe about their queen, though. She didn't look as scary as I hoped she would look. I mean, she's crawling on the ground like a worm, and she looks like a rejected horror from Horrorland. It's just kind of not working for me. I will say this episode is definitely way better than the last one. It had everything the last episode had, but actually stuck the landing and made a really scary and memorable episode. So, massive applause to them. Hopefully they keep this trend going in. Next, we jump all the way to season 5 for the 9th episode of the season, The Tale of the Unexpected Visitor. No, wait, it's the 10th episode. No, maybe it's the 13th episode. Wait, no. Paramount Plus is always wrong. They are always wrong. Okay, it's in season 5, okay? That's all you need to know. God, I hate the internet sometimes. Okay, so it's the 62nd episode. So that means it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 59, 60, 61, 62. Aha! There you go. We have it. Season 5, episode 10. There. Solved it. The Tale of the Unexpected Visitor was directed by a name I am about to absolutely butcher. Jacques Leber? Yeah. He was the director for most of the Midnight Society scenes in the first few seasons, but this is his first time actually taking the director chair, which is pretty cool. And the episode was directed by Alan Kingsburg, who also wrote The Tale of Prisoners Past, Jake the Snake, The Photo Finish, and The Many Faces. All really good episodes in my opinion. And surprisingly, this episode has never been recommended to me, which is strange. So I'm kind of interested why. So let's quit yapping and get into it. We start this episode just like the others, but this time we can see Kiki is snoozing by the fire. And with Stig and Tucker being the hellions that they are, they're gonna dip her hand in some warm water.
Don't even think about it.
Thank God Gary's a good guy. But I think they would have been caught anyways because Kiki wakes up literally immediately after they try. She says that she is so sleepy because her aunt is in town.
Uh-oh. The snoring machine.
And luckily Stig has the perfect solution to solve her aunt's snoring problem. Just stick some cotton balls up her nose, then she'll stop snoring.
Or make her head explode.
Oh, come on, that's not true. That's not true, right? But because of her aunt's visit, Kiki actually thought up a story to tell. She starts the story by saying, "It's fun having visitors, but when you invite someone over, you better know what you're getting yourself into."
But there's another kind of guest. The kind that comes by surprise.
This kind of sounds like a home invasion story rather than an alien story to me. But now it's time to throw the polytoxic chemicals into the fire and let's begin. We start this episode by meeting our main characters, Jeff and Perch. They're trying to make a song together, but they have different visions of what they want for their band. You see, Perch wants them to be in a rock band, but Jeff was thinking more of an,
elevator tunes?
Yes, elevator music. They argue for a minute about what good music is, but they get interrupted by an alarm.
Showtime.
The two sneak down into Jeff's dad's lab that's in their basement, and Jeff's dad works with the government on satellites. But he's not exactly allowed to talk about what he does because it's top secret.
Top secret? Unpuking believable.
No one has ever said that. Ever. Don't make me not like you, Perch. You're already pushing it with the name that's something birds sit on. Or a fish. By the way, you might recognize Jeff from the season 4 episode, The Tale of the Water Demon. He was Dean in that episode. The boys have snuck down into his dad's secret lair to use his government-issued technology to get free concert tickets for a band called
World War IV! Battle of the Century!
That's a terrible name. Anyways, Jeff hacks into his dad's computer, and as he does this, Perch is just casually going through his files, where he finds a folder for something called the Peabody Project. He tries to ask his buddy Jeff what it is, but Jeff absolutely freaks out and tells him to stop touching stuff, which is actually very valid. 1, you're not supposed to be down there anyways, and 2, you're looking at top secret government files. If you want to look at secret government files, go work for Elon Musk. But Jeff does let Perch know that the Peabody Project is an attempt to make deep space communication.
We could dial up Captain Kirk?
Yes, Perch, we're gonna dial up Captain Kirk. Maybe he'll give us a ride on Starship Enterprise to planet Ryza for a nice vacation. Just before the boys can secure their concert tickets,
Dad, down there?
they get caught by Jeff's little brother, who's known to be a massive snitch, but he is willing to bargain.
You know, I'm kind of feeling like a banana split.
But before he goes upstairs, Jeff tells Perch to not touch anything until he gets back. So, of course, Perch engages Project Peabody and tries to talk to aliens. What did you expect him to do? I mean, all the computers and machines around him start activating, beeping, and whirling, and processing information. Even the satellite outside turns to face a certain direction. But it looks like he has to enter some coordinates to communicate with a certain planet. So he does what anybody would do. He kind of just like smacks the keyboard a little bit and then presses enter. Now all he has to do is send them a message. But what do you even say to aliens? Perch decides to send them a little tune using a piano that's just so conveniently in a room full of lab equipment and computers. Why is it there? The satellite sends aliens Perch's message and he almost immediately gets a message right back.
Message received. Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying, man. There's absolutely no way 90s technology sent a message into deep space that quickly. And also, you got a message from aliens back that quickly. Makes no sense. These guys still had dial-up, for Pete's sake. Wait, where is Jeff during all this? Can he not hear what's going on?
Where's the chocolate sauce?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, actually, yeah. Parch realizes that he has made a massive mistake and tries to shut the computer off, but he must have said something very offensive in the alien language because they send a message back and they don't sound too happy.
What was that?
Of course, Jeff finally hears this loud-ass message and he sprints downstairs in an attempt to fix what Perch has done. But luckily, Jeff is able to power down the computer right before his parents get home. And they do a great job about hiding what they've done. Totally calm, cool, and collected.
Except you did the one thing we asked you never to do.
Oh god, they're busted.
If you give him ice cream before bed, he'll never get to sleep.
Oh, okay. I thought they were gonna die for a second there. By the way, you might recognize Jeff's dad as Raymond in The Tale from the 13th Floor. I hope so, we just talked about it. That night, while everyone is asleep, a strange light shines through Jeff's window and wakes his dog, Montana, up. The poor little guy thinks it's someone wanting to play, so he brings a ball all the way into the woods just for them to trap him underneath a net. Kill them. Burn them. Kill all the aliens. Give me the dog back now. The next day, the two boys run into Jeff's mom, who is in a hurry to get to a banquet for his father. And on her way out, she asks the boys to help find Montana because she isn't sure where he is and she wants to make sure that he isn't hurt or sprayed by a skunk, which has happened before apparently. So that night, the boys head out into the woods to look for their pup, while Jeff's little brother, Bobby, stays back in the yard just in case the dog decides to come back while they're gone. While the two search the woods and discuss what their next song should be about, they find Montana's ball alone in the middle of the woods. This causes Jeff to start to worry, obviously, so they go deeper into the woods, and while they're doing that, his little brother Bobby accidentally hits his wiffle ball into the woods. And when he goes to retrieve it, he starts hearing strange noises all around him. He thinks maybe it's his brother trying to prank him, so he takes a couple more steps into the woods, but he doesn't see the massive glowing net that has appeared behind him. Bobby starts to get a bit freaked out by all the noises, and he accidentally backs into the giant spider web net.
Get away! Jeff! Help! Help! No! Ah!
And just like Bobby, the boys start hearing those same noises coming from the woods all around them. Jeff calls out to the noises only to be mocked by them.
Who's there? Who's there?
That's actually kind of funny. He thinks it's someone trying to pull a prank on them, so he sprints into the woods and almost gets caught in one of those glowing webs. Luckily, he doesn't, and he and Perch find a strange door in the middle of the woods. Perch points out that the noises that they've been hearing kinda sounds like the little tunes that he sent them the night before. The boys investigate the door a little bit, and Jeff presses a glowing button which opens the door. To test out the door, he chunks Montana's ball into the door, and something rather comedically, honestly, throws it right back at him. This obviously freaks the guys out, so they run back to their home to find that Bobby is missing, and the satellite is rotating on its own. Thinking that Jeff's dad is home, they sprint into the lab to find that it's empty. But everything is turned on, and the Peabody project is open on his PC. And it shows that they have 5 new messages from the planet. And each time they got sent a new one, it got closer and closer to Earth. Until its last message, which was sent from Earth. Jeff sends Perch upstairs to go find his little brother while he calls his dad for help. And while he's in the middle of calling his dad, he gets another message from the aliens. And while Jeff is distracted by that, Perch upstairs is about to be their 3rd victim. Jeff tries to run upstairs to warn Perch, but it's too late. Perch is already gone, and there's nothing left but a burnt web to prove it. Jeff is tired of this already, so he runs back to the mysterious door and bravely but hesitantly goes inside of it. While inside, he finds everyone there, trapped in these glass tubes. Jeff tries to break the glass with a stick that he picked up, but they must be bulletproof because it doesn't even budge. He's also using a stick. I don't think sticks are that good at breaking windows. But in his time of capture, Perch has actually wised up a little bit, and he realizes that the aliens actually communicate through tones like music. He tells Jeff that if he plays a D sharp, it should open the tubes and free them. And he knows this because this is the tone that they used to lock him inside the tube, which means that Perch actually has perfect pitch if he could just tell what note it was and also remember it. So he might be a big rock star one day. Jeff sprints back inside, records himself playing a D sharp, and then quickly runs back outside to see that the aliens have called reinforcement and they're about to be invaded. So he's gonna have to work quickly before there is a full-on invasion. And while he's in awe at the other spaceship coming to Earth, he gets trapped in one of the webs. Right, going stupid. Luckily, he was wearing multiple layers or he might have severely messed up. But luckily, he does make it to the door and sets everyone free with the D sharp. But when they make it outside the door, they are trapped and surrounded by the webs. The boys panic for a second. They don't really know what to do, but strangely, the webs dissolve away. And these two creepy glowing aliens show themselves to the boys and assure them that they mean them no harm. That they come from the planet looking for their kid. Apparently Perch sent a child alien a message and scheduled a play date with them. Apparently the song that the guys made in the alien language translate to, "We are toys, come play with us."
We are not toys, lady. We are people.
The poor alien kid was just trying to play with them because the doofus told them that he was a toy. But the mother alien apologizes to the guys and asks them to not think badly of her son. Well, like, now I feel bad. The alien kid did nothing wrong in this scene. He was just trying to play a little game because Perch is an idiot. Hey, Perch, why don't you, like, play with the little guy for a little bit? Like, just let him, like, toss you around back and forth, maybe. I mean, you are the one who caused this, after all. Only makes sense. After the aliens apologize, they beam themselves back up and head home. And we learn in a voiceover that Jeff and Perch didn't get in trouble that day because Jeff's dad was just so happy that his project actually worked. And since they've had such a crazy experience, they now have great songwriting material and some new friends to show it to. Is that the song? No, it's great. It's great. You guys have potential. Oh my God, that was terrible. That was a terrible song. Luckily, our ears are saved by fading back into the Midnight Society, where Gary closes out the meeting and douses the fire. And in hopes of getting a good night's sleep, Kiki asks everyone if she could sleep over just for one night. But all of them sadly turn her down. Well, everybody but... yeah, I wouldn't go either. And that's the end of the episode. It's an okay episode, honestly. Sadly, it's a step down from the hatching in pretty much every way. I mean, why does this episode look worse than the previous two episodes despite it being in season 5? Like, they've had 2 seasons to figure out how to make their show look good, but it somehow has downgraded a lot. Even not looking at the visuals of the episode, it's honestly a little slow and kind of boring. I mean, the first time anything remotely creepy happens is 10 minutes into the episode when poor Montana gets captured. And I understand that sometimes it takes a while for these things to get rolling, and I'm okay with that. I mean, even in the last episode, the creepy stuff technically didn't start until 10 minutes when the kids got out of bed, but that episode did a great job at making things feel off about the school, and so you couldn't really relax with the kids. And this episode kind of just felt like dudes hanging out, dudes doing dude stuff for like 10 minutes. And then finally the scary stuff hits and then it's just full panic. I do like the idea of the mysterious door though. It adds a bit of mystery that was really needed in this episode. And I think that paired with the creepy glowing webs saved this episode a lot. Even though the webs are kind of easily avoidable. I mean, just don't walk into them and you're good. They do have somewhat of a threatening aura around them, and it does make it feel like the boys are in some sort of danger in this episode. And now the aliens themselves are so disappointing, man. They use these webs the whole episode, so I expected some kind of like spider alien thing, but nope, just some regular old humanoid aliens with big eyes. But they glow. At least they glow. I fully believe they use like the rubber aliens that you see in like all the memes nowadays. That's kind of what they look like to me. And also, before we move on to the next episode, I want to point out that I don't actually hate Perch. While he is a bit annoying throughout the episode, he's actually pretty funny and charismatic and probably the best character in the episode. I thought it was fun to pick on him throughout the episode because he's just easy to pick on. So far for the video, this episode is at the bottom of the list in terms of the alien episodes. But who knows, maybe the next episode might be even worse. Finally, we move on to the reboot seasons of Are You Afraid of the Dark, because we are ending the video off by talking about the 4th episode of the 7th season, The Tale of the Lunar Locusts. This episode was directed by Jim Donovan, who directed most of Season 7 and The Tale of Oblivion in Season 6. It was written by Michael Kogel, who also wrote the episode The Tale of the Gruesome Gormits, and The Tale of the Night Nurse. And before we get into the episode, I want to point out that Paramount Plus, which is what I use to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark, it doesn't have the reboot seasons on there, so I'm going to be using an upscaled version that Simply Collins so kindly gave me. Thanks, bro. Even though it is upscaled, the quality is still a little bad. I'm just warning you before I get a million comments saying, why did the last episode look like you recorded it on a Nokia flip phone? That's why. I'm just letting you guys know beforehand. Anyways, this episode is actually one of the best ones in the reboot series, in my own opinion. And it has some pretty famous people in it, so let's quit yapping and get into it. We start this episode with the new Midnight Society. Literally, the only familiar face is Tucker, who is all grown up now, so he's not even that familiar. The kids are complaining that the couches and stumps are all wet from some storms that happened the night before. Most of the kids decide to just sit on the ground, but Megan refuses to because of all the gross things that live in there.
Worms, slugs, bugs. None of them are pretty.
But it is her turn to tell a story, and she brought a story about creepy creatures that live in the ground. And she also brought a blanket to sit on. Unlike these idiots, she says that there are things that we don't know about that live underground, and no one ever knows exactly what they're stepping on.
That has the power to step back on you.
That's a little cryptic, Megan, but I'm interested, so throw the polytoxic chemicals into the fire and let's begin. We start this episode by panning over a pulsating ground where we meet our main characters, Jake and his girlfriend, Julie. You might recognize Jake from the Tale of the 13th Floor. He was Billy in that episode. You might recognize his girlfriend, Julie, as well. She's played by Amelia Rastia, and she is in a couple of episodes of Goosebumps like Iris in Calling All Creeps and Allison in Cry of the Cat. Sadly, this is her only Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, though. The two are having a romantic night underneath the kind of full moon, and Julie points out that Jake's massive ring glows in the moonlight, which is honestly kind of cool, but he doesn't really seem that impressed.
Cool.
I mean, at least sound slightly interested, maybe? Julie tries to give Jake a hint by telling him that their mutual friends are all getting together and giving each other their Letterman jackets and stuff, but bro is just like every other guy and kind of ignores her because, whoa, there's a shooting star! A very weird moving shooting star. They don't usually do that, right? Julie thinks it's just a regular shooting star, but Jake is on my side because there is no way a shooting star moves like that. Either way, Julie tells him to make a wish, and she tries to tell him her wish, but my guy has zero game.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Forget it.
Really, bro? The next day, we learn that Jake kinda doesn't want to date Julie. His friend Pete tries to talk him into dating Julie, but he just says,
Being exclusive is so final.
yeah, Jake, you sound like a great guy. And next we meet Ellen, and it looks like she's got eyes for Jake. She sits at the table beside Jake and introduces herself to him. And she kind of tells him that she's looking for a very specific guy.
I bet you play football.
Ah, the gold digger of high school girls. Gotta love it. Luckily for her, she found exactly who she was looking for because Jake is actually the quarterback of the football team. And since he fits her type, she decides to shoot her shot. She asks him to just show her around the new school, that is, if he's available.
He's not available.
Ooh, awkward. But hey, Ellen knows when to back off someone, so she gets up and leaves, but not without giving Jake one last flirty goodbye.
See you later, Jake.
Dude, she is asking to get in a fight with Julie. That's insane. And on her way out, we see that Ellen isn't too fond of the school lunches, which seems mundane to mention, but I promise it's very important. Later that day in the chemistry lab, Jake is using the lab computer to research UFOs. But that's when he gets a surprise visit from Ellen. She points out his massive ring where he tells her that he found the stone on the beach and just turned it into a ring.
It's beautiful.
Sure. I don't think I would say that. Kind of looks like he just superglued it to his class ring, but if you think it's nice. Ellen asks if she could try on his ring, and after a brief pause to make sure nobody's around, he lets her do it.
Jake!
Julie.
Dang, this girl just appears everywhere. Julie was there to walk Jake to Spanish, but seeing that he's already a bit preoccupied with a new girl, she decides to just go by herself. Jake tries to quickly say bye to Ellen so he can catch up to Julie, but Ellen won't let him leave that easily. She asks him if he can give her a computer lesson at his house. Yeah, computer lesson. Right. And of course, Jake agrees to it because he's the most oblivious human being ever and obviously wants to ruin everything him and Julie have going on. Not very fond of Jake right now. Later that day, Ellen is using this strange metal detector looking thing on the football field. And Julie sees her doing this and seems to be a bit freaked out by it. Julie runs to Jake and tells him exactly what she saw. Julie tells him that she followed her for about an hour and she was just measuring and digging stuff in the football field.
You spied on her for an hour and she's weird? I don't know.
Oh, so he is capable of seeing the irony in things. Oh, that's crazy. Wow. Since Jake doesn't seem to believe her, she just drops the conversation and asks him if they could hang out after school. And at first he says sure, but then he quickly remembers that he's actually giving the girl that his situationship is jealous of a computer lesson at his house later. So he just says, cat, too much homework. Sorry, Julie. Poor Julie, man. I feel so bad for her. She's done nothing wrong in this episode. And after their conversation, Julie spots Ellen mysteriously sneaking into the chemistry lab and follows her inside, where she hears noises coming from the closet in the hallway of the lab. And when she opens it, skeleton. Does anybody actually find skeletons scary? I think they're so corny, honestly. They're like not scary at all. I think you like push them over and they'll just collapse. But since she's obviously not in the closet, she has to be in the school's greenhouse. So Julie creeps into the room and sneaks around to look for her, but she doesn't seem to find Ellen anywhere. Maybe she's hiding in this other cabinet. Damn, that really messed bro up. Why are his eyes like that? After the taxidermy jump scare, Julie has had enough of the creepy shit and decides to bail. If only she looked up, she would have found that Ellen is sleeping soundly on top of the shelves. How'd she get up there so fast? And how did Julie's scream not wake her up? Ellen must be a heavy sleeper. Later that day, Ellen and Jake head off to his house, and of course, Julie sees this happen. But she's no longer worried about Jake being stolen from her, but rather his safety. She checked the school's registry and she found that there was no new student by the name of Ellen. So she doesn't even go to the school, which sounds a little fishy to me. Hey, look, fish! We cut to their computer lesson and they're actually, having a computer lesson. Or are they? I see you trying to sneak a kiss in, Ellen.
Break time.
Oh, he actually stopped her. Maybe he does like Julie. Jake brings over a PB&J for Ellen to eat, but sadly she's allergic. So he offers to make her something else, but she now claims that she's not hungry, but she does seem to be very interested in this fish tank. What a strange girl. But since she's not really hungry and it's getting kind of late, she asks Jake to take her home for the day. But before they leave, she steals his newspaper, almost like she's trying to hide something from him. Wait, where are the fish? Did she eat the fish? Why do the aliens keep eating the adorable creatures in the show? Next, we cut to them in the middle of the woods. Oh no. They park the car and Ellen tells Jake that she knows that him and Julie are a thing.
Well, she's not exactly steady.
Shut up! And she tells Jake that he's really cute and that she'd love to be his girlfriend and wear his ring. What an awfully specific thing to say.
Let me try it on.
Hold on! Jake actually turns Ellen down. He says that he can't do that to Julie and that nothing is going to change his mind. Suddenly, all the car doors lock on their own and you see a strange vine-like thing crawling over the back seat. And it looks like Ellen isn't playing anymore.
Now give me that ring.
Give her the ring, man. What are you doing? There's one easy way to solve this. Easy. Done. Episode over. But Jake's dumbass gets out of the car and tries to run. But obviously he doesn't get very far. Ellen pounces on top of him and tries to reason with him. She tells him that she is an alien and she was the one on that weird star he saw a couple of nights before. But he seemed to chill out a little bit, so she offers to let him up only if he doesn't try to run away. Yeah, because running worked so well the first time. Of course, Ellen just tackles him to the ground again and begs him to stop running because she needs his help. The newspaper that she took earlier has a headline about flesh-eating bacteria that's attacking the area. Ellen tells Jake that it's not actually a bacteria, but it's an alien parasite. It travels from planet to planet and eats everything in its path.
Like locust.
Oh, and that's how the episode got its name. The Lunar Locusts, alien locusts. Oh, so genius. Wow. Ellen and her alien partner were the last two survivors from her planet after the parasite attacked it. So to get revenge, she followed them here to try and stop them before they can destroy any other planet. And so she can hopefully find herself a new home in the process. Oh no, Julie is sneaking up on this. No, please not while she's on top of him. Oh, thank God. Julie didn't see it. As Julie spies on the two, Jake just pretty much recaps what Ellen just told him, but then says what any teenage boy would say about the situation.
Cool.
Damn right. Honestly, she should have started off with the alien stuff. Every guy would love to fight with aliens or against aliens and save the planet. If she was just like, hey, I'm an alien from another planet and I need your help to save Earth, he probably would have said,
cool.
And I'd do it too. Jake asks why did she pick him, and she pulls out a necklace with a similar gem on it to his ring. She says that she needs both stones to destroy the locusts, and since he found the stone, she pretty much has to work with him. It was her partner's stone, and it looks like he crash landed in the ocean and probably died, which is very depressing. But luckily for Jake, Ellen wasn't actually after him for his dashing good looks, just his ring.
You're not really my type. You're way too human.
Damn, that's still gotta hurt just a little bit, you know? But just then...
Hey!
Julie sneaks up on Ellen and discovers that she is an alien. Or in her words...
She's a monster!
No! Well, yeah, sort of, but...
Dang, bro, she's standing right there. I know she just called you ugly, but still, she just told you she's an alien. This freaks Julie out, and even when Jake tries to explain everything to her, she still runs away to call the police. Later that night, Ellen takes Jake to the football field where the alien locusts have laid their eggs. Oh, that's why the field was pulsating in the beginning. She claims that they're going to hatch tonight if they don't do something about them quick.
There they are.
Hold it right there, kids!
Oh, come on, don't make me hate you too, Julie. I've been defending you this whole time. While the cops are chasing them, they break into the school using Ellen's freaky glass-cutting fingernail. I don't know how good of an idea that was. You're already evading the cops. Now you're gonna add breaking and entering to those charges? Okay, sure. But they run to the greenhouse in the school with the cop following very closely behind him. He follows them directly into the greenhouse and gives it a, 2, maybe 3 second look, and then moves on. Wow. Great job, dude. I feel safer with you around. Ellen hid her alien equipment in the lab because she figured that if someone saw it, they'd just think it was some kind of science experiment, which is honestly incredibly smart. Yeah, it's a really smart thing to do. She hands Jake this alien gun and some sunglasses because the blast from the beams are going to be so bright, it'll probably knock him out. So he takes his things and they run off to defeat the locusts. But they have to set everything up quickly before the moon is fully over the school. And sadly, the field is crawling with cops. So Jake takes matters into his own hands. He sneaks back to his car and tries to distract the cops. But Jake isn't alone.
Jake!
Julie was waiting in his car to try and catch both of them, but when Jake comes back alone, she just wants to know what is going on. And he tells her that it is super important that he helps Ellen, and while he's been helping her, it's made him realize that him and Julie are actually perfect together. Oh, so you had to run around with another girl for 2 days before you realized you actually loved the original girlfriend? Okay, buddy, yeah. But this little talk actually patches everything up between the two, and they actually kiss and make up. I said make up, not make out. Pervert. Next we cut to the field, and Jake's distraction actually worked. Or rather, Julie's distraction.
Is that too loud? Sorry.
She uses his radio and starts blasting music, which distracts the cops and gives Ellen ample time to set up the devices. And when Jake makes it back to the field, all they have to do is wait for the moon to be in the right spot, throw their stones into the device, and they're done. Easy peasy.
Thanks, Jake. I'll never forget this.
Hold it right there, young lady!
Jake!
Oh, now you do your job. Okay, man. Yeah. Ellen throws Jake her stone, and she tells him that he is their last hope. So he Hail Marys the stone perfectly into the alien device at the perfect time. Okay, yeah, that checks out. He then runs to put the other stone in the device and then absolutely stiff arms this one cop. Like, damn, he didn't even see that shit coming. But the other cop actually gets a good grip on Jake and almost takes him down. But Jake has done it once and he can do it again. He chunks his ring at the other alien device and it... God dang it, bro. I'm taking away your scholarship money. Good luck getting into college now. Luckily, my goat Julie shows up at the perfect time and tosses the ring into the device and successfully saves the planet. Julie is still a bit confused at what's going on and how she exactly saved the planet, so Jake shows her the newspaper about the flesh-eating bacteria, and he tells her that they were actually locusts and she killed them all. But Julie already read that article in the newspaper, and it was about how they killed off a bacteria in Brazil using antibiotics. Oh no.
Ellen, we zapped them, right?
Turns out Ellen just used Jake so she could hatch her babies and take over the planet. And that's where the story ends. And we fade back into the Midnight Society where they compliment Megan on her really great story.
Now I know why I didn't want to sit on the ground.
Well, yeah. And I also don't like getting my bottom wet.
Oh, man! Yuck, I'm soaked.
Okay, there is no way all these kids are dumb enough to sit on the ground for that long before they notice that their butt was getting wet. But hey, at least they have a warm fire to dry off. And that's where the episode ends. What a great episode. And an even better place to end off the video. Even though we don't actually get to see what the aliens look like in this episode, I think it's one of the better alien episodes. The story in this episode is really solid and you honestly get played alongside Jake your first watch through. Ellen is so charismatic and you just want to trust her. But wrong, you never trust aliens. Unless it's Alan from Invincible. He's the only good one. I do think it's awesome that the first thing this alien did was come to Earth, turn into a pretty girl, and then immediately start seducing guys. It's awesome. Oh, by the way, Ellen is played by Tara Lipinski, and she was actually the youngest girl ever to win a gold medal in figure skating. She won it at just 14 years old, which is absolutely insane. And she's honestly not a bad actress either. She could have easily pivoted to acting if she wanted to. Also, Jake's friend Pete at the beginning of the episode, he was played by Sean John Potter. And he was also in the episode The Tale of the Door Unlocked and The Tale of Jake the Snake. I've mentioned that episode like 4 times in this video. I probably should talk about it then. I hate to say that Jake annoys the shit out of me in this episode. Like, he has this girl who is obviously into him and really wants to be with him, and he's just kind of stringing her along throughout the whole episode until the very end. He claims that he doesn't want commitment, but when a pretty blonde alien shows up, he almost leaves the girl he was with for the alien, even though they just met like 48 hours before. He's lucky Julie is very forgiving and actually believed him about Ellen, because I don't think I would. Although they're probably gonna die anyways based on that ending, so. And also, kind of ironically, him and his brother both had a role in a TV show where they're both named Jake and fighting aliens who disguise themselves as humans. It's kind of strange. This episode isn't very scary throughout, which is actually fine because the ending is so haunting, it kind of makes up for everything. And there was also a very strange vibe around Ellen the whole episode to keep you interested enough to finish the episode. But the writers decided to throw in these red herring jump scares in the episode, which did not need to be in there. They were both just super goofy and they threw me out of the story immediately. I mean, if they just had Julie search around the lab for a second with creepy music playing and she found the weird alien equipment, that would have been better than this. And it also would have kicked off her small obsession with following Ellen, and it would make more sense than her just doing it out of jealousy. Other than those few complaints, I really enjoyed this episode a lot. Everyone in this episode is at least somewhat likable, even Jake. And I love how intense the end gets before the really great plot twist. I personally knew that there was something wrong with Ellen from the start, but I think it's because I've watched these shows so often, you kind of catch these little trends in the stories. I do love that she is the mother alien though. I figured she was like the Taylors in The Hatching, where she was just there to help her queen, but nope, she is the queen. And that's awesome. So that was all the alien-based episodes in Are You Afraid of the Dark? I honestly think they do aliens really well in this show. They definitely know how to teach kids to not trust strangers, that's for sure. And I do also love how each episode has a different looking alien. I mean, we have the completely unique designs of the blank-faced ones in the 13th Floor, a reptilian alien in The Hatching, and alien aliens in The Unexpected Visitor, and then some shape-shifting humanoid aliens in the Lunar Locusts. It's awesome. I love how creative they are. And I do believe each episode is good in its own way, of course, but The Unexpected Visitor is definitely the worst of the 4. It's the most forgettable, frankly, and the most boring of them all. Like, I bet you don't remember the main character's name. I just talked about it. What's his name? Exactly, you don't know. And right above that, in 3rd place, I'd have to put The Tale of the 13th Floor. It's really fun and interesting, and I do love the sibling bond that we see in the episode, and it's got a pretty haunting ending that pretty much makes the whole episode worth watching. But that's what made it so hard for me to choose 2nd place, but I'm gonna give it to The Tale of the Lunar Locusts. It's a great episode, super interesting story and characters, not to mention it's like star-studded. And the episode itself isn't really that spooky, but the twist ending where Jake helped an evil alien take over the world is just awesome, and I could not overlook that. So of course that leaves The Tale of the Hatching for 1st place. I knew when I first watched the episode that it was going to blow the rest of them out of the water. No pun intended. It's got everything you want to see in a horror kids show. Creepy school, odd teachers, gross food, eerie vibes, crazy practical effects, and overall a really fun and interesting story. It's just too good. Well, yeah, let me know what you guys think about the episodes in the comments below. Also, give me your rankings for the episodes. I have a Patreon. The $5 members get bonus content plus videos a day early, maybe some pictures of my cats, also a Discord server, and your name right here on screen, as well as YouTube members. You guys get lumped in with that as well. And I want to thank a few specific people, Mr. Uchiha, Erica, Jose, C-Bomb, Justin C, and Leslie Nope. Thank you guys for supporting me directly. Like the video if you liked the video. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I appreciate you all, and peace.